So all the haters now go, hey, KTM, yeah, they can't build anything, yeah, KTM this.
The same dash exactly. It's a newer version of the dash. It's a newer version of the dash. It's a newer version of the dash.
So you can see if the summer's behind, which it isn't, but the TFT is still completely clear after 2 or 3 minutes. But as soon as I get riding, that will cloud over and then condense water, which certainly is not ideal. Interestingly, while I was at the Triumph factory the other day, they described their TFT, which is bonded to the front of the glass. And what I found the most interesting about that was that they said they filled the space between the lens and the TFT with a resin, so that you get more clarity because it reduces any sort of internal reflections. But also I was thinking, obviously, as a 790 owner, yeah, that would mean also absolutely no chance of condensation because you haven't got an air gap in there. So if KTM do a recall, which may happen one day, you never know, let's hope that the TFT they provide is similarly immune to condensation, whatever method they decide. Now I did see on Drive Mag Riders the TFT being described by a KTM guy, one of the KTM guys who do the demonstrations, and he said the 390 Adventure had an all new TFT, and when you look at it, it's exactly the same shape, or appears to be exactly the same shape as the one on the 790, which it probably is because it uses the same windscreen, headlight as the 790. So assuming that the TFT is the same shape and size, it appears to be, and it's all new, then we can only hope, the 790 Adventure owners, that very soon we too will be getting this brand new TFT. One can but hope. What's that saying? It's the hope that kills? I don't think so. I think hope is what keeps you going. Like today, we've finally got sunshine, the wind's dropped, a torrential rain overnight, but it appears to be drying off. So I'm going to head out to a little bit of Cheshire, I think. So for those of you who think, oh, moaning, he's always moaning about that TFT, let me just explain. This is, for me, the perfect motorcycle. It's the best bike I've been on, and it's spoilt by only that one nagging doubt that the screen may go down. Like most modern bikes, it absolutely depends on that TFT screen, and if it was to go off, it would be a bit of a nightmare. I suppose I could put my sat-nav on for speed, but you wouldn't be able to change modes or use any of the whiz-bang gadgetry that, that's a technical term by the way, that you buy the bike for in the first place. So yeah, it's not really a user fixable part. So that's 10 minutes in, and just starting to see the first signs of it's like a shadowing either side, the right and the left of the screen. You won't be able to see it on the camera, but it is there. If I get the sunshine behind me, it might just pick it up, but there's like a banding down the right and down the left side of the TFT. And it's only a theory, but I've always assumed that that's due to the fact there's cold air going over the bike as you go faster, and that cools the plastic down, which causes condensation inside the trapped air that's in there. A lot of people have said, oh, it doesn't matter, it's only moisture, it goes away and it disappears in the summer, which I agree, it does go away in the summer, and it hasn't appeared to cause any damage. It just makes me feel very uneasy though, and it does sometimes make it difficult to see the screen properly, particularly with the turn by turn. Anyhow, just to put you in the picture, I first bought my bike 1 year ago. It's one of the first ones in the UK. Absolutely delighted with it, but the first service, which was only a week after I got it, because I just did the 700 miles more or less in 3 days, the service people said you need a new TFT, it's got water in it, or condensation. I actually noticed it on the way to the service. The sun was behind me, day pretty much like today. Apart from that, there have been niggles as I've catalogued as I've gone through the year. I'm not going to go over those again. There's nothing that's insurmountable in any of those niggles. You know, loose bolts and things. Annoying, but kind of what you expect on a motorcycle. They're not cars after all. But the TFT thing is the one thing that spoils my ownership of this bike, because in every other regard this is the perfect bike for me. Of course, us S owners and R owners, or 2019 model bike owners, are all hoping that we get the TFT changed as well under warranty. I'm sure that will happen. Happy days, everything will be sorted. So I don't know when I'll be going out again. I was going to go to the Manchester motorcycle show, but that's been cancelled due to the coronavirus, and I know that some countries have had it far worse than the UK, and that the UK could easily end up in a similar situation, so I'm not going to complain about it. I don't know whether I'll be doing much motor vlogging over the next few weeks, but it might just be things like today, a little ride out. I know some people like to just watch the countryside, so I'll just continue to do the odd vlog, update the situation here. It's heartbreaking in some ways that my football club waited 30 years to win the title again. And just as it looked like they were going to win the title and that the hoodoo of 30 years was over, the virus has come along, and honestly can't see this football season being completed. And heartbreaking though it is, you have to be sensible, you know, there's more important things. Bill Shankly once said, it's not life and death football, it's much more important than that. That was a joke. Now obviously life and death is much more important. We can only hope that this virus goes through a cycle, and that in the meantime they're able to develop techniques to cope with it. Anyhow, I'm not going to talk about that. I want to get outside in the sunshine and ride my bike, which is what I do to make myself happy. If you're watching this and you don't ride a motorcycle, maybe you think it's dangerous. Well, you'd be right, it is dangerous. In the wrong hands particularly. But the compensation is that it just gives, well, it gives me, and I know many people, such a lift. It's one of the greatest therapies that you can have. I just don't get it riding a car or driving a car. Driving a car just does not give me the same thing. I like cars, but motorcycles are something else. I like to be out in the open air. I like to sort of feel that I'm in the countryside rather than looking at it on a screen, a windscreen. There's another guy here, look, he's got the same thing. Morning. He knows. He's with me. He said hello. If you see this video, whoever you were, please like, follow, subscribe and all that stuff, which I never say. I always feel like I'm kind of begging. Oh, but I must admit, while I'm on the topic of YouTube, recently my channel went beyond 1,000 subscribers, which is actually, I don't know if you know, but it's quite a big thing in YouTube circles. I fell into it quite by accident and I love it, so thank you to everyone who's subscribed. And if anyone else is watching this and would feel like subscribing, I'd really appreciate it. Right, let's hit some countryside, because down here it's lovely. Trees, fields, rolling hills and sunshine. What more do you want? That was Ludwig I was asking. He's quite happy with this. Yeah, so I just intend to ramble on until my battery goes flat, and then I'll edit this together into an old-fashioned vlog. They never get very many views, but as I say, I know some people just like to ride vicariously if they can't get out, particularly in other parts of Europe with the snowed in or whatever, so bear with me and we'll see what we can find. Whoa! And already I can see water droplets on my TFT. Lovely field. You're a lovely field. I do like to talk to the fields. I get a lot back from them. Don't tell anybody though. It's just our secret. Whoa, roadworks. I think here there's a pond that overflows onto the road quite often. That's probably what this is. Oh yeah, there we go. And here, if we look, we are above the motorway. All those busy people rushing around. That's the M6 motorway. Yep, life goes on. Motorcycles are brilliant. This bike's brilliant. I'm only in rain mode, but just such a great feeling just to blast down the road. I'm in rain mode because I'm old and wise. Okay, I'm going to go and look at something which I've not looked at before. Yeah, I am. But I'll see if I can park first. Just have a chat with this field, I think, before we do anything else. Now, field, you are a lovely field, I can see that, but you can make a bit more effort with your drainage. Alright, that is waterlogged, not good enough. You know, you can see the field over there has had something in it eating the grass. You've got nothing in it because you're too waterlogged. Now come on, make a bit of an effort. I sorted that out. Okay, this one's for a subscriber called White Rabbit. Oh, here you are, White Rabbit. I'll try not to pant and breathe too much. The birthplace of Lewis Carroll. This is where the house would have stood. Birthplace site of. And apparently somewhere here was the vicarage where he was born. A lovely spot. Apologies for the breathing, something I have to do. Well, that looks like the outline of a house. Foundations, that looks like a well, I'm guessing. Yeah, they've obviously marked it out with modern bricks, but you can see where the house would have stood. Travels with Codger Biker. Hello? Can Lewis come out? Oh, I see. Okay. Can't come out because of the coronavirus. He's self-isolated. Can you imagine walking through the front door into the hall? Now I grew up in a house just like that. It looks just like where I lived my formative years. The parsonage that stood here had 7 bedrooms, but it must have been almost bursting at the seams. 9 of Charles' 10 siblings were born here, and his father took in paying pupils who stayed to learn Latin and ancient Greek. 10 children, plus paying guests. Yeah, life was tough, I suppose, for a parson. Still, that's religion for you. That well, certainly close to where the house would have been, if it is a well, which it looks like. Blimey. That shows you there must be a lot of water underneath the foundations here. Hello, Mr. Rabbit. I used to have something like that for target practice when I was a kid. Yeah, best not mention that. Don't know if you can see, but there is actually water trickling down there, and there is moisture droplets there. So, you know, really does need to be sorted. Right, next up, the Christmas tree lorry, which you've seen before, but I like to go down that road, so that's where I'm going. Stop complaining. I'm guessing there aren't any other Christmas tree lorries around. That could be a new tour, couldn't it? The tour of Christmas tree lorries of England. I expect a tour of 1. I do get described sometimes by my riding colleague as being a bit of a hooligan, but if you put it in rain mode, it really just smooths everything out and you can just cruise around. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy being a hooligan. There's a time and a place, but a morning like this with mud, water everywhere, stick it in rain mode, take it easy. It's marvellous. This is such a great bike. People like to slag off KTM, but I just think they do things that nobody else does. Dirty water. Ludwig, you're going to need a bath after this. Ah well. I want to go and talk to this field anyway. Yeah, even in rain mode it's perky enough. Oh, well, I remember one thing I have done is I reduced the preload on my bike because I'm not particularly heavy, and I think it's smoothed it out a little bit, and also given me an extra, I don't know, few millimetres closer to the ground. So yeah, it's softened it up. Not much. The default setting on this bike is 3 on the preload. I think it's got 10 settings and the default's 3, so I've dropped it down to 1. Haven't noticed a lot of difference. I do feel closer to the ground a tiny bit, and it feels a little bit softer, but it doesn't get out of shape or anything. So I have committed what I call the cardinal sin of putting a top box on, just to keep my puncture repair kit in, and gloves, spare gloves, sunglasses and things. I got the smallest one I could find, which I think is I'm not sure if it's 30 litres or a bit less, that's not permanently fixed on anyway. So I had to get a mono lock. It's by Jivy. It wasn't expensive. I don't like the look of it, but I must admit it does the job. I can fit my crash helmet in it if I take the camera and the mount off, which I'm not going to do, but it just about fits in it, I think. Or if I take an ordinary crash helmet without a peak. But yeah, I don't use it for that. I just put my sandwiches, my thermos, my Mr. Kipling cakes, and anything else that I decide to take out for a lunchy on my own. Motorcyclists, we've been self-isolating, I should say, for like ever. Ooh, look, somebody building a house. Now, get down here. I think it is. Pretty sure. Yeah, the Christmas tree lorry road. Now last time I was down here I had a word with one of the fields. I want to see if it sorted itself out. Oh, look at that. Still think it's a strange thing to have outside your house. I mean, not a bad thing, just very different, not what you'd expect to see. Yeah, I think it was this one here I had a word with before. Let's see how it's got on. Oi, field, I've told you about this flooding, okay? Get your drainage sorted. Other than that, good point. I have to say your winter wheat's coming on great, which I think that's what it is. And you should hopefully have a bumper crop this year. Keep it up. Next time I come back, let's see if we can get rid of those pools, especially that one down there. Okay? Right. Do your best. I shall be back in a week or two. I think I should charge for this service. If I come back in 2 weeks and that's a field of wheat, you know, that's got to be worth something. Right, let's have a look at the TFT. Can you see the stream of water on the left? The right is still droplets, so not as bad as yesterday. And that is in about 45 minutes of riding. None of that moisture is outside of the glass, it's all inside, look. And as you can see, we've got 8 degrees, coming up to 3,500 miles. This is the third TFT and they've all done exactly the same thing. So all the haters now go, hey, KTM, yeah, they can't build anything, yeah, KTM this. Yeah, but what KTM do is power to weight, mates. And quick shifters, and that's rain mode. It's just a joy just to be able to do that when you feel like it. And also, even though this is only the S, the suspension is great on this bike on roads like this. So, swings and roundabouts. But there you go, look, you can really see it now. Anyway, I've spoken to KTM in a previous video the same way I spoke to those fields, so hopefully through a bit of a talking to, they will have the job in hand. Got to be careful here because you can't see, blind corner. Water, water everywhere, but near a drop to drink. Water, water everywhere. And my TFT did leak. That's a little known poem by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, first draft, I think. Just a nice road. Bit of gravel there, but you know, can't have everything. So this is pre-spring, I suppose you'd call it, in the UK. You get out into the countryside, we've got loads of it, it's always beautiful. And no matter which part of the countryside you're looking at, it always looks better from an adventure bike. Trust me, I'm a fully qualified village idiot. What more reference do you need? Nice bit of hedge work there. Nice bit of ploughing, I like that. Okay, so with my TFT gleaming in the sun, can you see that? I'm heading off home. Here's to a recall and a new TFT soon. Codger Biker is out! Woohoo!